In today's episode, man in isolation demands extra smoke breaks, fakes illness symptoms trying to manipulate us. We transfer him to a more restrictive quarantine instead. Have to clear out our vacation time. Good luck keeping the place open with no employees. So you want to use another store's service coupon? No problem. So let's get started. Man in isolation demands extra smoke breaks, fakes illness symptoms trying to manipulate us. We transfer him to a more restrictive quarantine instead. I'm a paramedic and lately I've been working at an isolation facility in the Canadian oil field, and it's just terrible. It brings out the worst in a lot of people, kind of understandable. And once COVID is over, you could give me the choice between going back to this job or living with my D***CK inside an anthill for the rest of my life, and I would be slathering my loins in honey before you finish that sentence. How it works is we have a lot of large oil facilities in the area, and spring is when they shut them down, bring in hordes of workers from coast to coast and perform maintenance as quickly as possible to get that sweet black gold flowing again. It was pretty much universally ignored how F***king bad an idea that would be this year, and you'd never guess what resulted: a big old dumpster fire. An increase in cases was planned for. One entire work camp that could accommodate 1110 was set aside for positive or symptomatic patients, and a few wings at another camp for about 200 people where we kept asymptomatic close contact cases, no symptoms, or confirmed COVID. The oil companies paid the hospitality bill, and the workers that couldn't isolate at home had somewhere to stay. For anyone trying to picture a work camp, it's less gulag and more Motel 6. Private bathroom, single or double-sized bed, T.V, Wi-Fi, etc. Just picture a mediocre motel, but a little smaller room size. 3 square meals a day cooked in the kitchen/dining hall that's usually served buffet style, but delivered to isolation rooms by medical staff, because the kitchen staff's union rightly said hell no. The only thing that sucks about this camp is being isolated and monitored. I don't make the rules, and I don't even technically enforce them. I just tell people what the government has made law and why it's inadvisable to break them, or in other words F***ck around and find out. People were free to leave at will, but they'd face serious legal issues. It wasn't a prison, and I didn't make the regulations. 14 full days in isolation was the mandate, and yep, it was inconvenient for everyone so required. I ended up at the smaller site where we didn't store active cases, thankfully not because of risk, but the 1,100-person facility being the dumping ground was filling up fast and manpower was stretched to the breaking point. Our duties were mostly very non-EMS related: drop off food, deliver booze, invade faces with COVID swabs, vitals, check people in, chaperone smoke breaks and miscellaneous concierge things. My co-workers and I made efforts for our patients because it really is a stressful and a shit situation for them. Most people were pretty chill, if not outright pleasant towards us, but unfortunately we had a sizable group of loud, mean-spirited, entitled and belligerent man-children. These enormous holes complained about everything from the government to the quality of the steaks they weren't paying for, and they also serenaded us with threats, profanity, Nazi death camp comparisons, general prickishness, canon-level conspiracies, anti-vaccine garbage, and angry yet vague tirades about their rights. This kind of hot garbage isn't uncommon for this province. We're basically Canada's Florida Panhandle, and come complete with all the lunatics in tomfoolery. This is not a work environment I greatly enjoyed, but I did have a moment of catharsis when I clapped back at our standout problem child. Mr. P, as I'll call him, was that rare one in a billion hole, a repugnant narcissist and sharp as a marble. His Medal of Honor citation includes the following highlights: hurling his lunch at the wall opposite his room door because he didn't like tuna. Threats against other patients and one staff member. Staggering out of his room to pass out in the hallway, wrecked on rum and near buck naked. Perving on female staff members. Smoking constantly in his room with his door propped open. Turning it up to 11 while watching porn. Screaming at an adjacent parking lot from his window while trashed at 9 a.m. sneaking out the back door while unescorted whenever he felt like it, and to meet a delivery driver after we took his booze away, all breaking quarantine. Hilariously and obviously trying to forge the date on his information sheet taped to his door so he'd be out sooner. We track it in all Excel. Profanity, excessive and directed to us. Being himself. All this was in a 72-hour period, and we literally couldn't kick him out. Where else would he go? He was under quarantine. An amazing amount of forgiveness was extended to him by the camp operator and the oil company because of the stress being quarantined. Mr. P gets a visit and talking to by the RCMP police, call from his boss, and the camp manager, all of which seemed to have made an impact. All parties were fed up with his shit, and though he wouldn't be evicted, he would be, if he carried on, be facing a ban for life from every site owned by the oil company. Fired from his job and fined by the police. With his booze gone, I assumed he might behave closer to the 50-ish-year-old man he is, but that was naive. I interacted with him more than anyone else. I bit that bullet because I'm the veteran and the most jaded. He also for some reason didn't sexually harass me. Unhappy with being unable to smoke or wander around breaking quarantine as he chose, he picked me as his grievance tampon. We had 8x 15-minute breaks scheduled to take people to smoke or just to get outside. No touching door handles for them, and we'd politely remind them about distance and not to pass out smokes to others. Mr. P didn't like the schedule, demanded not asked for more breaks, longer breaks and breaks at the times he wanted. We'd honor some requests, usually take a worker or a couple for extra breaks. Doing the odd favor never bothered me for normal patients, but in his case, I would rather lick a cheese grater than expend one extra calorie for his comfort. Hard no and no negotiation. He could follow the schedule or risk his job by smoking in his room again. He wasn't special, and we were just staffed enough to handle our workload already. I might have done him a solid if he promised me he would use that time to go play in highway traffic. He'd grabbed my attention when I was handing out some lunches. This is when the above request was gleefully denied. It was about an hour later when we got a call from Mr. P. He wasn't feeling good and needed a checkup. I grabbed my kits and monitor thinking I had paramedic shit to do, but not believing I'd be lucky enough to have him actually be dying. He opens the door complaining of a cough and sore, dry throat. He put on the full act, and I did my due diligence for funsies, took full vitals and notes. He then piped up with some conspicuously prepared lines. It's just stuffy in here, I don't think I need any medicine. Just some air, extra fresh air would probably clear this up, yada yada. His brain must be smooth enough to skip across a pond if he put faith in this cartoonish scheme. I just imagine his inner dialogue, I'll just fake sick to get the thing he just refused to give me an hour ago, no one will suspect a thing. Well, I says to him, thank you for reporting your development of symptoms. If you could have your suitcases packed in the next hour, a vehicle will be arriving to take you to other facility. Baffled, his master plan crumbled instantly. He made a futile effort to backtrack. Was he lying? Extremely likely, just his bad luck. I take my patients at their word. I reported it, recorded it and sent it up the ladder to my superiors immediately. No backsies, asshat. We ship out symptomatic and positive cases, and that made him someone else's problem, already AW. The other place is also much worse. Between the huge and unexpected inflow of cases, staff shortage, staff being overwhelmed, they get maybe 1 to 2 smoke breaks a day. Food is worse, late or arrives cold, rooms are smaller, and with all positive cases their security is increased. Sucks. I feel for the guys there, all except him. Have to clear out our vacation time. Good luck keeping the place open with no employees. I am a social worker with a moderate-sized non-profit compared to the city we are in. We serve individuals with disabilities in a variety, including on-site and in the community. About a year and a half ago, our exec director retired after 15-ish years. They were an awesome person, but due to age and some health problems, had kind of checked out or running the organization. The new director came from a much larger for-profit organization, and seemed to feel that money is king, and the only way to be respected is to be feared. She was a monster in every sense of the word. Now, being a non-profit, our pay isn't fantastic, and the benefits aren't stellar, but the one thing they were good at was the vacation rollover. We were allowed to keep 200 hours of rollover, and while it took some time to build up, those of us that had been there a while tried keeping our hours somewhere around there. This is our vacation and sick time put together. New director decides that our entire vacation policy is too generous and cuts our accrual rate. I personally lost almost 2 full weeks a year, and the major kicker tells us we can only keep 80 hours of rollover. Again, I get it, COVID hit us hard, everyone has to be expected to make some cuts somewhere, but see, the problem is, she told everyone this the first week of October, and we had to be down to 80 by January 1st. Anything over 80 just goes away. We tried negotiating, we tried offering alternatives, we asked for exemptions by a few months. She would absolutely not hear it, and finally said the next person who asked about our PTO policy would be walked out of the building. So, my coworkers and I came up with a plan. Enter the compliance. I will admit, this only worked because the rest of our administration team felt the director was horrible, and also lost their PTO time too. We all put in for vacation at the same time. Even those that really didn't need to because they were closer to 80 hours anyway. We literally had 85% of our staff off for weeks at a time. We worked it out amongst ourselves that we had just enough staff to ensure work was done to keep us compliant with the state, but anything above and beyond that ground to a halt. I also need to clarify that we are not an emergency service, so the clients we serve did not lose our unessential supports. Well, our board meeting comes around in December, and the new director has to try and explain why there was such a drastic drop in revenue over the last month and a half. Apparently she didn't give a good enough answer, because the board started talking to the employees and SR management for the first time since the new director came on. Let me tell you, we did not hold back. After hearing the horror stories of some of the other stuff she was doing, the board promptly decided that having her in charge was, according to the all-staff email that got sent out, not going to lead us in a direction that would lead to long-term success and stability for our organization, and kicked her ass to the curb. I am happy to say they found a new director who has already gone above and beyond what we could have hoped for, and our staff, and most importantly our clients, are hopefully on the path to many years of success. So you want to use another store's service coupon? No problem. So, this happened to me a few days ago at my dealer. For context, I'm a service advisor at a large domestic brand dealer in one of Texas' largest cities. This customer came in because her truck was pulling hard to the left and needed an oil change. I told her it might need an alignment, but I would have one of my tech look at it to see if nothing else was wrong. A few hours later I call her and tell her that everything looked fine, but the alignment was out of spec and the tech was recommending one. She asks how much and I tell her our alignments are $119.95 for cars and light trucks, plus the oil change. I can hear her sigh over the phone and says, "You guys are too expensive, this is why I hate dealing with dealerships. There's got to be a coupon or something for me." Midju, this was her first time visiting the dealer, no previous history or nothing. I tell her, "Ma'am, at this moment we are not running any promotions, but let me see what I can do for you." I place the call on hold for about a minute, for suspense. LOL, pick up the line again and tell her, "I spoke with my supervisor, and we can use an internal coupon to discount the alignment to $79.95. She says, "That's it." I say, "Yes, that's what we can do today, and stay quiet." She says, "Okay, go ahead and do it." Fast forward a few hours, she comes in to pick up the truck, and hands me a coupon from another dealer. Saying Mother's Day special, full synthetic oil and filter exchange with tire rotation, and 2/4 wheel alignment for $189. I looking it over and also noticed it had expired a few days prior. I tell her, "Ma'am, this is from another store, and it's also expired." She says, "I spoke to someone earlier, and they told me I could use it, and that the expiration doesn't matter because it's not your coupon." I asked her who did she spoke to, but she couldn't give me a name, of course. While I'm looking at this spectacular flyer, I realize that the price is more expensive than my bill. Our service for her vehicle is $74.95 and plus the alignment at $79.95, she would be at just over $150. I try to get a word across to let her know about this, and as soon as I say, "But ma'am, you total as L," she cuts me off and says, "Either you take this coupon or get me a manager. I'm not paying you expensive price, you guys are thieves." I say, "Ma'am, I already discounted your alignment to $79.95, your coupon is useless, it will be M." Again she cuts me off and starts yelling saying somebody on the phone said I could use this coupon and I will. And I'm done with you. I smile and say, "Okay, you are the customer." I proceed to adjust the ticket and change the price to make the total $189.99 plus tax. "Ma'am, cash or card?" "Card." I charged her card with a smile and said, "Here are your keys, ma'am, have wonderfully day." She stomped out of the door and peeled off. My boss then comes to me as asks, "I heard the yelling, what was she mad about?" After I explained what had happened he could stop laughing. It's been the joke on the service drive for almost a week now. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.